My name is Anna. I was 16 when I met Ryan. I lived in a small town in Ohio. It was a quiet place with tall trees, friendly neighbors, and small shops on every street. I had lived there my whole life. That year, a new boy came to our school. His name was Ryan. Ryan had short black hair and green eyes. He looked shy but kind. He had just moved from another city. His father got a new job at the hospital in town, so their family came to live in Ohio. On his first day at school, I saw him sitting alone in the cafeteria. He looked a little lost, so I walked over to him. "Hi, I'm Anna," I said. "Can I sit here?" He looked up and smiled. "Sure," he said. We talked while we ate lunch. I asked him about his old school, what he liked to do, and if he liked it here so far. He told me he missed his friends but liked how peaceful Ohio was. He said he enjoyed quiet walks, reading and drawing. I liked those things too. After that day, we started talking more. We walked home together after school. Sometimes we stopped by the small park on Maple Street. There were benches under big trees, and we often sat there to talk. We talked about school, music, our families, and what we wanted to do in the future. Ryan said he wanted to be a writer. I told him I wanted to be a teacher. We laughed a lot. I felt happy whenever I was with him. He always listened to me and remembered small things I said. I had never met anyone like him before. One rainy day, school ended early. I didn't bring an umbrella, so I stood near the door and waited for the rain to stop. Ryan walked over and smiled. "Want to share?" he asked, holding up his umbrella. We walked slowly under the same umbrella. The rain was soft, and the streets were quiet. The wind was cool, and the sky was gray. I felt my heart beat faster. I looked at Ryan, and he looked back at me. We didn't speak much, but it felt special. That weekend, he asked if I wanted to go to a movie with him. I was so excited. I said yes right away. We went to see a funny movie. We shared popcorn and laughed a lot. After the movie, we bought ice cream. I chose vanilla. He chose chocolate. Then we walked near the river. The sun was low and the sky was orange. Ryan reached for my hand. I felt shy, but I held his hand too. I couldn't stop smiling. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how he looked at me, how he held my hand. I liked him. I liked him more than a friend, but I didn't know if he felt the same way. I was afraid to ask. A few days later, we sat on a bench near the river again. The sun was warm, and children were playing nearby. The wind moved through the trees. Ryan was quiet. Then he said, "Anna, I want to tell you something." I looked at him. My heart started to beat faster. "I like you," he said. "Not just as a friend. I like you a lot." I felt my face get warm. I smiled. "I like you too, Ryan." He looked surprised, then happy. We both laughed. It felt like a dream. After that day, we became more than friends. Ryan was my boyfriend. He made me feel special every day. At school, we met under the big tree in the morning. After school, we walked home together. We did homework at each other's houses. My mom liked Ryan. She said he was polite and kind. I was glad to hear that. One Saturday, we went to the local market. We bought apples and watched a man play the guitar. Ryan held my hand the whole time. I loved being with him. We made many good memories together. One weekend, we had a picnic on a hill just outside town. Ryan brought his sketchbook. He liked to draw trees and birds. I brought sandwiches and lemonade. We ate, laughed, and lay in the grass watching the clouds. Another time, he came to my birthday party. He gave me a small box. Inside, there was a silver bracelet with tiny flowers on it. "It reminded me of you," he said. I wore it every day. I felt safe with Ryan. I felt like I could tell him anything. When I was sad, he cheered me up. When I was worried, he listened. We trusted each other, but things were not always perfect. One afternoon, we had a fight. It was about something small. I had to cancel our movie plan because of a family dinner, and he was upset. "You never tell me these things early," he said. "You're always changing the plan." I felt hurt. "That's not true," I replied. We both got upset. I went home and cried. I didn't want to fight with him. I missed him already. The next day at school, he walked up to me. "I'm sorry, Anna," he said. "I didn't mean to be angry." "I'm sorry too," I said. "I should have told you sooner." We hugged and promised not to fight like that again. We said we would always talk and try to understand each other. That spring, we spent many afternoons sitting near the river. Sometimes we talked. Sometimes we just sat in silence and listened to the water and the birds. Ryan gave me a small notebook one day. On the first page, he wrote, "For Anna, the girl who makes Ohio feel like home." I smiled when I read it. I didn't know what the future would bring, but at that moment, I knew I loved him. Summer came, and everything in Ohio looked brighter. The trees were full of green leaves. The river flowed quietly, and the sky stayed blue for many days. Ryan and I spent more time together. We rode our bikes to the lake outside town. We sat on the grass and talked about our dreams. Ryan said he wanted to write a book one day. I told him I wanted to help children learn and feel safe at school. We also started keeping a scrapbook. Every time we did something special, we wrote it down and added a photo or a small thing like a ticket or a flower. One page had the movie ticket from our first date. Another page had a dried flower from our picnic. The scrapbook became full of little pieces of our time together. I loved looking at it when I missed him. We met every weekend. Sometimes we went to the bookstore near the school. Ryan loved reading. He liked stories about space and people who followed their dreams. I liked books with letters and memories. We sat in the corner of the store and shared stories. It felt like the world was quiet around us. Ryan was not only kind to me, he was also kind to others. He helped his neighbors carry groceries. He smiled at everyone. He cared about animals and sometimes fed the stray cat near the school. Watching him made me feel proud. One evening in July, we went to the county fair. There were lights everywhere, games, music, and food. Ryan won me a small teddy bear from a game. I named it Blue because it had a tiny blue ribbon. We ate cotton candy, rode the Ferris wheel, and watched the fireworks. When the sky lit up, I looked at Ryan. He was already looking at me. It felt like the happiest moment of my life. On the way home, Ryan said, "Today was perfect." "It really was," I said. "I'll never forget it." Things stayed good for a while. We started high school in September. It was a little harder than middle school, but we studied together and helped each other. Ryan was good at writing. I was better at math. We made a good team. One rainy afternoon, Ryan surprised me with a small gift. It was a heart-shaped keychain with a tiny photo of us inside. "It's to remind you that you are always in my heart," he said. I couldn't speak for a moment. I hugged him tightly. "I love you, Ryan," I said softly. "I love you too, Anna," he replied. I felt warm and full inside. I knew we were young, but my love for Ryan was real. Then one day, something changed. Ryan came to me after school. He looked worried. "Can we talk?" he asked. We walked to the river. The wind was cool. The leaves moved slowly in the trees. Ryan was quiet for a while. Then he spoke. "My dad got a new job," he said. "It's in another city. We have to move at the end of the month." I felt like everything around me stopped. I didn't say anything. I just looked at him. "I don't want to leave," he said. "But I have no choice." Tears came to my eyes. "What will happen to us?" Ryan held my hands. "I don't know, but I want to stay in touch. I'll write to you. We can talk on the phone. I'll come visit when I can." I tried to smile, but it was hard. My heart felt heavy. The next few weeks were hard. We tried to enjoy the time we had. We went to all our favorite places: the river bench, the bookstore, the park with the swings. We talked, laughed, and sometimes cried. I gave him a photo of us, the one from the fair, and wrote a note on the back. "No matter where you are, you're in my heart." On his last day, we stood outside his house. Boxes were everywhere. His parents were busy. We hugged for a long time. "Promise me something," I said. "Don't forget." "I promise," he whispered. "I'll always remember." He got in the car and waved. I waved back, trying not to cry. As the car drove away, I held the keychain he gave me. It was all I could do. After Ryan left, I felt empty. The days felt longer. I missed walking home with him. I missed his smile and his laugh. Everything reminded me of him. The bench at school, the park, the books we read. But Ryan kept his promise. he wrote letters. Every week, I got one. He told me about his new school, his new home, and the people he met. I wrote back. I told him about school, my family, and how I missed him. Sometimes we talked on the phone, even if it was only for a few minutes. I still wore the bracelet he gave me. I still kept the scrapbook and added pages with letters and little drawings. It made me feel close to him. But over time, things changed. School got busier. Ryan started writing less. Some weeks, no letter came. When I asked him, he said he was tired and had too much schoolwork. I understood, but it still made me sad. I tried to stay strong. I focused on my studies. I spent more time with my family and friends. But at night, I often sat with the scrapbook and read old letters. I missed him more than I could say. One evening, I got a phone call from Ryan. His voice sounded different, quiet and serious. "Anna," he said, "we need to talk." My heart dropped. "I still care about you," he said, "but I feel like we are growing apart. I don't want to hurt you, but I think it's better if we let go." I didn't speak. I just listened. "I will always be thankful for you," he said. "You were my first love." I said, "I'll always love you, Ryan." That night I cried. My heart felt broken. It was like a piece of me had gone missing. But deep down, I knew he was right. We had changed. Life had changed. We couldn't hold on to something that wasn't the same anymore. The days after that phone call felt heavy. I kept thinking about Ryan, his smile, his voice, the way he used to laugh at my silly jokes. I looked at the scrapbook and the bracelet he gave me. They made me cry, but they also made me smile. I didn't want to forget our love. I just had to learn how to live without it. I started doing small things to help myself feel better. I joined a book club at school. I started helping my younger brother with his homework. I spent more time with my mom in the kitchen. I even went back to the river bench one afternoon and sat there quietly, just like Ryan and I used to do. One day, I took the scrapbook and placed it gently in a box. I put the box under my bed. I wasn't throwing it away. I just needed to give my heart space to heal. Time passed. It was not fast, and it was not easy, but slowly I began to feel okay. I smiled more. I started enjoying my walks again. I laughed with my friends. I focused on my dream of becoming a teacher. I knew Ryan would have wanted me to keep going. A year later, I got into a college not far from home. It was a small school in Ohio with green lawns, quiet halls, and kind teachers. I moved into the dorms and made new friends. I joined a student group for people who wanted to work with children. Life was moving again, and I was part of it. One afternoon, I was sitting outside the library reading a book. A voice said, "Is this seat taken?" I looked up and saw a boy around my age with brown hair and soft eyes. I shook my head. "No, it's free." His name was James. He was studying to become a nurse. We started talking, first just about school and classes, but later about books, favorite foods, and silly childhood stories. He made me laugh. He listened when I talked. He didn't try to be perfect. He was just kind and honest. We became friends. Then we became more than friends. I was scared at first. I was afraid to love again. I didn't want to feel that kind of pain again. I didn't want to lose someone the way I lost Ryan. But James was patient. He never rushed me. He never pushed me. He just stayed. One evening, I told him everything about Ryan. I told him how we met, how much we loved each other, and how we had to let go. James didn't get upset. He just said, "I'm glad you had someone like that. It sounds like he was a good person." I looked at him, surprised. "You're not jealous?" He smiled. "No. You're here now. You chose to tell me. That means something." That night, I realized something. My heart had space for new love. It didn't mean I forgot my first love. It meant I had grown. My heart had healed. It had made room. James and I spent many days together, walking around campus, studying in the library, going to small coffee shops. He made me feel happy again. He made me feel safe. It wasn't the same kind of love I had with Ryan. It was different, but just as real. One winter morning, I got a letter in the mail. It was in handwriting I hadn't seen in a long time. My hands shook as I opened it. It was from Ryan. He wrote, "Dear Anna, I hope you're doing well. I've thought about writing to you many times. I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for loving me when I was new, scared, and lost. Thank you for being my first love. I hope life is treating you kindly. You will always be a special part of my story. I will always remember you. Take care. Love, Ryan." Tears filled my eyes, but I was smiling. I held the letter for a moment, then placed it in the same box where I kept our scrapbook. I felt peace. Ryan and I were not together anymore, but the love we shared was still real. It helped me grow. It helped me become the person I was now. I was stronger. I was softer. I understood love better. Years passed. I finished college. I became a teacher, just like I had always dreamed. I worked with children, helped them read, helped them believe in themselves. I met families, saw children laugh and cry, and felt proud to be a part of their lives. James and I stayed together. He became a nurse. He helped people every day. We moved into a small house in a quiet neighborhood. We planted flowers in the front yard. We had dinner together every night. We made our own scrapbook, full of new memories, new moments, and new dreams. Sometimes, when I sat quietly in the evening, I still thought of Ryan. I thought of the river bench, the county fair, the scrapbook, and the keychain with our picture. I didn't cry anymore. I smiled. Because I knew something true. First love never leaves us. It stays in our hearts like a gentle song. It reminds us of who we were, who we loved, and how we felt. I was grateful for my first love. I was grateful for the joy, the tears, the lessons, and the memories. Ryan was part of my story, just like I was part of his. And that will never change. Love is a beautiful thing. It makes us smile. It makes us cry. It helps us grow. It teaches us how strong the heart can be. My heart had been broken, but it had healed. My heart had learned to love again, and that, I believe, is the most beautiful part of all.